Those are my love bugs. This is Neil's Han Dynasty. Like, share, subscribe. Be kind, helpful, and grateful because it is being better. It is a lot better than being a jerk. And buy some silver, some platinums, crystallized osmium. Poor South Africa. They just keep shooting themselves in the foot. First they joined BRICS, then they joined the One Belt Road Initiative. Now they're insulting and crushing trying to crush America. Now let's see what's going to happen to them.
Foreign policy mess. South Africa finds itself in more than hot water with the Trump administration, as I warned would happen months ago. I did call it, the Trump administration would not suffer fools like Cyril and his team, nor would they tolerate continual disloyalty to the West and American policy.
Yep. We give them
crime-infested, socialist experiment gone horribly wrong. Unemployment, corruption, load shedding. I'm staying here to fight for South Africa.
We give them $1.5 billion a year to keep them alive. They do nothing for us. Actually, they're very bad to us. So we should stop giving them $1.5 billion and watch them cry. Listen to this story. See how much money they get given.
Let's save South Africa. Let me break down why we're in this situation. Geopolitics and international trade are transactional. It's business. Simple as that. Buy, sell, trade. What do you get? What do they get? And the question we should all ask is, what do we in South Africa get in return when we align with certain nations? For years, the ANC has consistently distanced itself from the West, particularly the United States. Voted against the United States and the United Nations, poked America and the West in the eye, non-stop. South Africa refused to condemn Russia's unprovoked attack on Ukraine, and yet we took Israel to the ICJ. And yesterday, South Africa demanded Taiwan close its embassy in South Africa. Taiwan, a sovereign and democratic nation that China is threatening to invade. But fine, if that's the ANC's chosen foreign policy, they need to own it. But what they cannot do is act surprised when the United States turns its back on us. AGOA is at risk. PEPFAR could be removed altogether. And if we continue down this path, we will face devastating tariffs if they haven't happened already. Trump was willing to slap 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada. What do you think he'll do to us? And Mexico and Canada backed right down.
They're not on the list yet.
Found out the hard way this week is that you can't play both sides. The Trump administration, or any serious global power, is not going to take the ANC's ship anymore. And as for Commie Guede's threat over mineral exports, that's a fool's game. Trump and the West don't need us. They can get minerals and rare earths from elsewhere, including from Alaska, and I believe they've discovered them in Alabama and Arkansas. And it's not a call for South Africa to necessarily align with the US. Not necessarily. If we're willing to forego our trade privileges with the US and our billions in aid for HIV relief, then we have to ask the question, what is South Africa gaining from our alliance with Russia, Iran, and China, the world's undemocratic dictators? And more importantly, what is the ANC gaining from these alliances? What's going into Cyril and his merry men's pockets that you don't know about? Chinese companies get preferential mining contracts in South Africa and have an unfettered access to our market. And as of the latest figures, China exported double the goods to us that we exported to them. A massive trade.
That's actually what they did to Italy, and the PM of Italy after 1 year said, "Suck eggs, China. We're not being part of your One Belt Road Initiative. It'll bankrupt us." Unfortunately, this gentleman right here said, "Oh, I don't care if you bankrupt the company. Just give me all your money."
Deficit for South Africa. We are on the losing side of that trade. Unless, of course, the ANC is stealing. Cyril, get back on your plane as you did last year and fly back to Beijing and demand South Africans get more from this deal. But, we know Cyril's not a businessman and never was. So maybe send a proper businessman like Gayton McKenzie. who will be tough and get a way better deal for us. What about Russia? Russia. Last year, Russia invested around $1.5 billion in South Africa, while South Africa invested $5 billion in Russia. How's that a fair deal? Unless the ANC is stealing. Iran. We took their number one enemy, Israel, to the ICJ, and yet we allow Iranian vessels to dock at our ports. Iran, a backward, theocratic regime that treats women like animals. Iran. The common thread here is clear. These countries are the ANC's old friends. Russia and Iran have secretly funded the ANC for years. Now, they may be the ANC friends, but if they're going to be ours as South Africans, they better become more friendly and bearing gifts, and valuable ones too, and stop putting money into the ANC's pockets. The ANC's foreign policy isn't about what's best for South Africa, as we all know. It's about benefiting the ANC and their historical allies. But South Africans aren't stupid. We see what's happening. So here's the question no one is asking. What do we, the people of South Africa, actually gain from these alliances? What does South Africa need? What puts South Africa first? Richard Nixon once said that the best foreign policy is a strong domestic one. Only by getting our house in order can we claim any credibility on the world stage. Right now, under the ANC, we have an unemployment rate worse than Gaza or the Congo.
Wow.
Thanks to the ANC.
Hold on a second. So, according to what Andy Schectman says all the time, GDP of South Africa is the greatest in Africa, and yet their unemployment rate is 32. South Africa's unemployment rate is 1 in 3. 1 in 3 people is unemployed in South Africa, and they have the greatest GDP. I think someone needs to go back to school.